Greetings all, this is Meten at Plutonic Plains. This is my YouTube for those who are new. I do the weekly gates, which is where the sun is according to the human design mandala. And it moves through about 5 gates per sign. So right now we're in Taurus moving into Gemini. And so we have a particular gate that signifies that transition. This past week we've been in gate 23, which is here on the throat center, but it's not, you don't see it colored in here because I have this particular event chart for May 16th, and this particular gate that the sun is going into will be from May 16th to May 20th. So that's this Friday, May 16th to next Tuesday, May 20th. And so today I'm doing this one kind of early, a couple days early. And so far, in the week of the last particular gate, it was 23 we did. And 23 is a gate of deafness or awareness or insight. So that gate's been, for those of you who've been observing, we had the full moon in Scorpio, which dealt with the polarity of the 43 and the 23, which is right here in this throat channel of the genius freak. So we dealt with this polarity in reference to the full moon, and usually full moons is when the moon is drawing our energy out, kind of lifting the emotional waves of our being out towards the moon in its kind of repetitive process, and to utilize it as a sort of energy absorption. And so for those who are aware, when the moon is full, we call that, what do we call that? There's many terms for it. It's when you can really see who someone is. The full moon brings out the person. So I remember like Gurdjieff talking about when he used to meet new practitioners who would want to study with him, he would go out and get them drunk so he could see their essence. And it's very similar. To experience the full moon is to experience a moment of inebriation where you're being filled with the light of the moon, inwardly or outwardly. You don't have to be outside in the night light of the moon's light, which is a light that, unlike the sun, which brightens everything and almost causes a kind of blindness to other things, while the moon, the full moon, will illuminate those things which are hidden and you're blinded by within the sunlight. But within moonlight, you only see that of which you are and that which you are made of. So moonlight is very interesting, very subjective in that way. And it is by the prisms of light, as you could see it through crystals, that the moonlight is pulling our energy out during the full moon. And so we recently had in the 4323, and if you've paid attention, you'll notice that people really needed to speak. They really needed time to speak and speak their truth and express it. And we know, learning in this modern age, that the thing about humans is they need to feel out whatever it is that's stuck within them, to express in either art or utterance or music so that the energy can leave them. Because we're human pipes in a way. If you look down at this graph, this human design graph, it has a lot of, complex channels and centers, kind of like the tree of life. But really, the most important lines are these two. One of them is the sun line, one is the moon line. And it also corresponds to the nervous system and the spine, which is so aware of energy. the whole like new age kind of hijack is that there's this over focus on the chakras, which is most likely an implemented system, kind of prison system in the body. But the real awareness is in the spine, is in the um, vertebrae of the spine as they align and as they feel the energy rise and drop. And this has been validated by the human design charts of how it works when we pass. And many mystical systems have this awareness that we kind of move out of the body. Human design has us moving down out of the body. That's kind of, but it would make sense though, like a toroidal field, like our auric field kind of fills and then comes back up and refills and comes back up and refills. There was one group I was a part of. It was the Advanced Tachyon Technologies years ago, and I took a course with them to train in their crystals. And they taught us that all the chakras should face, like a pipe, should face up or down, not to the side, not horizontal, but only vertical. In other words, associated with the direction of I hate that word, spiritual, I don't know, the spine, the spiral of the spine, and now we would say, well, and so it's very fascinating, this idea of this like just pipe of energy that runs through us, that in a sense we are pipes. Our vehicles are pipes, and energy runs through all the time, in and out. So you might have experienced a lot of people expressing, their own deafness to themselves or their awareness and insight about themselves and how they feel, or in response to others. And it was a full moon, so some of it could have come out a little harshly. I know this full moon was in Scorpio, so it could have been a harsh full moon for some. And its effect is for the next 2 weeks. Even though I'm doing the sun gates for the 5, 6 days that they're active, a full moon being the polarity of the sun and the moon gate will remain active for about 2 weeks. And so this was in Scorpio, 22 degrees, gate 23. So there will still be a lingering awareness of one's expression. Now we're moving downward into gate 8. You guys can see it here. This will be activated by the sun. I don't know, I have this in the way. Okay. It will be activated by the sun on Thursday, Friday, the 16th. And you'll notice Uranus is also in gate 8. And so that's, in astrology, we call it combust within 6 degrees, and within 1 degree, we call it cazimi. And that means that the particular planetary energy is bursting in the heart of the sun, and only its spiritual residue and essence can be expressed. In this case, we know that Uranus is symbolic of sudden shifts, precognition, sudden changes, a rebellious awareness, a type of electrical genius, things that shift rapidly and surprisingly. And so it'll be interesting to observe this next week, because it's not just the sun in gate 8, it's Uranus there conjunct. So there could be very subtle shifts of awareness, or they could be overt, and you could be aware of them if you have this gate, or even if you don't, because it is in transit. I don't have the gate, for example, so I will be sensitive to it, to feeling it. Now, this particular gate is Taurus, of course. We're in Taurus season. We're taking care of the body and the senses, and the self is encouraged. And this particular gate is individual, as you could see it in the middle, those two collective gates going down and up. And there are in its lower frequencies, this particular gate is expressed in such a way as there could be a fear of being different, of of standing out too much. But the realization of this gate, and this gate expresses kind of like a certain agency, like being an agent for a for someone who's expressing the creativity of the one, the yang, that Scorpio gate beneath it. This is like the Taurus, a creative agent, and or talent agent is the better term. And it it expresses its energy through example. So it's a very co-creative expression of consciousness. And an agent, as we know, is going to be one who will assist another with expressing their energy in a creative way. And so this is a breakthrough in its own sense from the fear of being different. And so this portends an escape from mediocrity or from the collective. And this gate is not about leadership. It's about being an example to others, being an example of authenticity. So a very developed expression of this particular gate is going to be one who is able to find their own path, make their own way, and invite you to see an example of an expressive identity that's very unique in its way. And this is a uniqueness that carries its own or creates its own style. And style is really important because style is an expression of beingness. How we do something is just as important as what we're doing. There's deep importance in that. This being an individual channel, it's all about one creating and forming one's particular style of expression. And so overcoming a fear of success is another key expression here. And moving beyond this fear of being caught up in the collective nature of things. This is someone who can begin to think clearly and freely beyond the social structures. And so when such a person expresses who they are, this will light a room up. This will light up the space. Because the sound of the voice is key to this particular channel, and both the 8 and the 1 contribute to that. And so either you're speaking with your true authentic expression, lighting everybody up in a radical form of authenticity, or it's expressing collective guilt and control and, why don't you be like everyone else? You're of no value unless we're all the same. So this energy is rebellious to a degree. Rebellious, but just rebellious in the sense of being authentically rebellious or authentically expressive. Because that in itself is a form of rebellion. There's no ideology connected with this gate. This is just about pushing through any sort of external conditioning or pressure and being able to express yourself in the nature of who you are. And it's important. There's an important aspect to this energy that I've always noticed. And what it is that authenticity doesn't have to be expressed ruthlessly or coldly or intensely. It could be expressed with treating life, yourself, and others with lovingness, exploration, wonderment, curiosity, openness to listening and hearing them, and attempting to understand them as best you can. People really shine when you shine with your authentic expression, and then you too give them the space to shine in return. Because it's almost like you're expanding your light for them by expressing in such a high frequency of fun and lightness and awareness. And sometimes it could be intensity too, but it's with a certain care. It's with a certain kind of just a kind of what word am I looking for? Like a beauty of soul or spirit expression that shines forth that everyone can feel because there's a care to it. For the most part, people don't care what you know or don't know. What they care about is that you care for them. And that care translates through knowingness and through expression of what you know. Because, the cost, the toll here for being alive in this realm where we are, the toll is always the same. We're here to give of who we are. And giving of who we are means we're expressing the highest of who we are, our talents, our awareness. I don't know why that little box is there. And so in expressing that, we're giving. In our beingness, we're giving to others. And so that's gate 8. It'll be till next Tuesday. And then we'll go into gate 20, which is a gate that very much resembles actually Uranus in being in sudden shifts, but also being fully present in its highest frequency. And so I'll leave it at that. Let me see if there's any other things I could share. This particular day on Friday, there's no activations. All the centers are open. This is a reflector chart. The sun and earth are in gate 2, the hermit, opportunist. So there could be an energy of taking time to oneself and with gate 36 activated by the north node and gate 6 by the south node, we're still in a period of relationships, so relating, of focusing on how we relate with others. And this will change in June. And I'll go over this soon. I'll be doing a video on the change of the nodes to gate 22 and 47, I think. I'll have to double check. But the gates will still be in Pisces and Virgo. So we're still with the Virgo south node of not overthinking things, not overanalyzing, but taking the risk, being vulnerable, jumping into the Piscean chaos, the amorphous energy of shock and a fantastic awareness of things driven by our authority in our body, wherever our particular authority is. And I'll leave you guys with that. Hopefully that was helpful to you. And we'll check back in next week once we move into the following gate 20. And the best to you all. And remember to check out my channel, Plutonic Planes, and my website, plutonicplanes.com. And I think that's it.